Joining me now is author and political commentator Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always done.
Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome to Shaking My Head with Shemeka Michelle. I am your host, Shemeka Michelle. Welcome back to all of the head shakers. I appreciate you for being here today. I'm going to remove this for a minute and bring that back. So yesterday we had a discussion about the lie that Blacks are not guests in America. On Monday, we talked to Maj Toure about gun rights and how they are human rights, and just keeping with the theme of empowered people don't ask permission. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be coming in hot, going straight into one of the biggest traps holding people back, which is the victimhood mindset. Victimhood is seductive. It feels good to have someone else to blame. It feels safe to point the finger and say, it's the system, it's the government, it's them, not me. But here's the reality. Victimhood doesn't set you free. Victimhood keeps you weak, dependent, and constantly waiting for permission to move forward. If you're serious about empowerment, you have to trade victimhood for ownership. Ownership of your choices, ownership of your family, ownership of your future. Because victims beg, owners build. And today we're going to break down how to make that shift. Again, welcome to the Head Shakers. I want to thank everybody who has decided to join in today. I can tell you I'm a little bit irritated. I'm just a little annoyed because I feel like everybody wants to be a victim, right? Everybody wants to complain, and it's always somebody else's fault. It's never the fault of the person who's actually doing the thing, right? Whatever that thing is, it's never their fault. I can tell you that me and my kids laugh about this sometime. Whenever their father gets like really upset with me for whatever reason, he will blame the judge in our divorce, the attorneys in our divorce, but never himself. I have taken accountability. I wrote a whole book for the things that I feel like I've done wrong, but it's never him in anything. Never has been, never will be. And it's funny now. It wasn't funny years ago. It's funny now, but I see just how many people play the victim. They never want to take responsibility or accountability. It's always someone else's fault. And as I just stated, there is no freedom in that. You really aren't free when you can't just take ownership of things. Someone asked me, I was doing Fearless with Jason Whitlock yesterday. Actually, it was on his Harmony channel. And I was talking about myself as a parent. And I was telling them about how my youngest daughter, had a project to do at school. And the project was something along the lines of, if you could like make a different earth or a different world, what would your world or universe or society, how would that look? And my daughter did this earth, and the earth was red, black, and green. And in this world, she said there were no white people because at the time, I guess she had parents, me being one of them, who blamed white people for everything. And on top of this little earth that she made that was red, black, and green, she had taken a Barbie doll, and we had dressed the Barbie in African clothing and cut all the Barbie's little silky hair off and took some of our hair that we had, maybe come out while we were combing it, and made the Barbie an afro and had the Barbie's arm up, straight up in the air. And we had wrapped something around it so it looked like a fist because, it really looked like just the hand up. But we wrapped something around it so it looked like a fist. And that was what she presented to the class. The teacher was probably white. I cannot remember, but there were definitely white students in the classroom. And so this is what she did. And I'm thinking, great, this is perfect. But what I realized, and I'm so grateful that I realized early, is we were teaching them to have a victim mindset. Just be victims. It's somebody else's fault, because why would you need a world with no white people? Like, come on, what was the actual thought process behind that? I had to look deeper because at the time we lived in a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house with a theater. There were 2 Mercedes and an Escalade in the driveway. So she was better off than many of the children in her class, many of them white, as I said, but had a victim mentality that she thought white people shouldn't be in the earth. So I'm very, very grateful that there was a mind shift with me, because I was the one home. I was the mom. I am the first example of what my daughters think a woman is. I'm so glad that there was a shift in me so that I could start teaching them better things and be accountable and let them know where you are in life or where you end up is all on you. It's not because of somebody else. You have to always look to see in every situation what you did wrong. You always have to. So I'm grateful that I had that mind shift so that I could stop teaching them to be victims, so that the projects that needed to be turned into school were no longer like, let's get rid of the white people. Because in all actuality, you can remove anybody that you feel like is doing something to you, unless you take ownership of your own actions and make sure you are doing what you're supposed to do. It'll still be an issue, because you will go wherever you try to change. You can change the surroundings, but as long as you're there, as long as the person with no accountability and this victimhood mentality is there, nothing's going to change. So today, an Hola Miguel High Football Podcast, Imaginary Lead. Hello to everybody. I'm glad you caught it live today as well. We're just gonna play a little game, because I think people don't sometimes hear the victimhood mentality. But I came across several videos on X. It's easy for me to share the screen. And I just want to play a little game with the audience. I want to know, do you see the victimhood? I'm going to play little portions. Do you see the victimhood mentality in this? We're just having a conversation today, right? Do you see the victimhood mentality, what you think it is, and how they could have taken ownership in this? As you remember, Delano Squires, as I bring this up, Delano Squires did the show. I don't know if it's been a month, but we had an entire week of what women need to hear from men. And Delano came in and talked about feminism from the male point of view and how it has also affected men. But he did C-SPAN a day or two ago, doing the report on the state of the Black family. And I want you to hear one of the callers. I'm not sure if it sounds like the same person for both, but I want you to hear the caller and see if you can spot the victimhood in this. It's completely crazy to me. Let me turn up the volume.
DC. Good morning.
Sorry, y'all. You know I'm a one-woman show. So let me make sure I got this right. Okay.
Washington, D.C. Good morning.
Good morning. Earlier in the interview, your guest mentioned the Moynihan Report. As I recall, the Moynihan Report said that unless the government invested heavily in the Black family, and that we would never get out of the situation that we were in based on racism. Also, I'm assuming he knows that. Also, what about all the money that Black families have lost based on racism? And I mean based on redlining, based on the higher money they have to spend on loans, based on the higher amount of money they have to spend for their insurance and everything else within their community. That has been tallied up into the billions. So instead of him asking or talking about what Black families should do, maybe he should look at what the government isn't doing. Biden had money for students and took, well, not students, I should say, families and children, excuse me, who he gave funds to, and 50% of children out of poverty, he lifted them out. And of course, the government decided we couldn't do that. So again, and my last question to him, since he's a member of the Heritage, he's also, I guess.
So that's one clip. Do you all hear the victimhood mentality here? Do you hear the it's somebody else's fault, not mine mentality in this? Because what I heard him say is he's talking about the Moynihan Report, but instead of him talking about what Black families should be doing, he should be talking about what the government should be doing for these Black families. Now, Delano had an excellent response. I'm going to play another video, but I want you to just hear how these people feel like it's always somebody else's fault. Somebody else is holding them back. The government should do this. The government should do that. It's never about what we should do. And for this man to be upset because Delano is pushing the idea that men are important, fathers should be in the home, and that two-parent households are better. Two-parent, low conflict households are better. He wants Delano to actually talk about what the government should be doing. That's victimhood mentality. But let's go to the next video. Then I'm going to pop in the chat to see what you all have to say. Let's see what else this caller had to say that was somebody else's fault and not
Yes,
his.
good morning. First of all, I would like to say,
Wait a minute. This, you got to make sure you hear this because it's just completely ridiculous. Again, I'm sorry. One woman show.
Yes, good morning. First of all, I would like to say to the gentleman, you don't know how you sitting up there insulting single parents' whole home. I know parents that have both parents in the house and children are nothing but monsters. You know, it hurts me to see you sit there because you really, to me, you insulted my mama this morning. Because I grew up in a single parent's house. My mother, she taught me the good things about life, work, stay out of trouble. I ain't have no dad in the household. I grew up where? What I did when I went out there in the streets, having a dad and a mama up in my household ain't had nothing to do with what I've done in that world. Stop blaming sitting there. You don't realize how you disgracing black people this morning, man. With that crap you up there talking.
So Newman, what happened to your father, if you don't mind me asking?
He was abusive. He was an abusive man. My mama got rid of him.
Okay, let's get a response.
Yo, you really have to go and actually listen to this interview because, again, how is he insulting your mama? Do you realize when someone says that single parent households are not ideal, even if you were raised in a single parent household, that is not an insult to your mama? Even if you are a single parent raising a child, it's not a personal insult to you. What this man, Delano, is saying to people is, we're not talking about the exceptions. There are people that turn out completely fine. I'm one of them. I am not somewhere a prostitute on the street. I'm not cracked out. I'm not selling my body and taking drugs. But it doesn't change the fact that statistically, it is better for people to be raised in a two-parent household. So for this caller to take the time to actually pick up his phone and dial and wait to be let in, to complain and say that Delano is insulting his mother, and as you heard in the previous clip, to say you're shaming black people and you're making black people look bad, and we should be focused on what the government is not doing. There is no ownership in that. That is a victimhood mentality that lacks ownership. There's no accountability. And it's really time for us to stop begging everybody to do something that we have the power to do ourselves. And I'm not putting even a color on that when I say we have the power. We are all capable. Black, white, yellow, red, whatever. It's time, no more begging. This is why victimhood keeps us weak. And it's time for us to stop playing the victim on the major stage and in the minor stages of our lives. And I actually feel like life, our individual life, is really the major, because when you get that right, then you can go out on bigger stages. But this whole begging mentality, it is nobody's fault for the position that you are in but yours. As minorities, let's see. Miguel says, as minorities in the U.S., we see that Caucasians have and run things, not realizing we're living in a Caucasian country. It's like if a Caucasian American were to go live in a Latin or African country. Meaning, if a Caucasian American family were to go live and raise their kids in a Latin or African country, then it would be a similar circumstance. Beasley says, oh, the female energy. it's very female energy not to take accountability. And as a female, I can't even be offended at that. It's very hard. I don't know why. Our lips, our tongue, our teeth work the same as everybody else, but it is very hard for women to take accountability. To say I apologize, to say I did this wrong or I could have done something different is very female energy. To just blame someone else. Let's look at another video, guys. Where are my typical head shakers? I want you to see the lack of accountability and the victimhood in these videos that I'm playing you, and hop in the comments. I want to know, is this just my eyes or do your eyes see the issues as well? I don't want somebody to think, oh, she's just picking on the Black people, the African Americans. Let's
This goes out to people who voted.
I'm not just picking on the African Americans.
This goes out to people who voted for Donald Trump. I hate you. I hate you. You might be my family, you might be my friends, but if you voted for Donald Trump, I hate you. I fucking hate you, and I don't want you to be in my life because you ruined it for myself and all the people around me. You knew voting for him would deny my rights. You knew it would be a disaster for trans folks, for immigrants, for people who look like me, people who are marginalized and poor, who have trouble with medical and all kind of stuff. I fucking hate you for voting Donald Trump 2 times, especially family members and close companions who voted for Donald Trump. I hate you. Get out of my life. Don't ever text me. Don't come near my social media. I don't want anything to do with any one of you. You have ruined my already difficult life.
I don't want any of you to come near me. Don't come near my social media. You have ruined my already difficult life. Sir, we can't even understand you. We can barely understand you, sir. Wherever you are in life or are not is on you. This is nobody's fault, sir, but your own. But this is what I'm talking about, people. There is this disease that everything is somebody else's fault. Why was your life difficult, sir? Why was life difficult? Whose fault is it that your life is difficult? It's your own fault. And I'm not even saying that life don't be lifing. It does. But where I am right now, let's just take even trying to build a show. Building followers, building viewers. Do y'all know, some of you do, that I had a show 7 years ago? So I am here building from scratch because I stopped doing the show. Nobody made me. Nobody held a gun to my head and said, stop building. I could have easily started back during COVID when everybody was online. Nobody told me to stop building. I stopped building. So now what am I doing? I'm here in the trenches because it's nobody's fault but mine. It would make me feel better to put the blame on somebody else. But the truth is, the facts over my feelings is I stopped. I was ahead of the game in 2015, 2016. Live 3 times a week. I stopped. in 2018 and said, oh yeah, people would say, we miss your show. And I would say, okay, I'm coming back. I'm coming back soon. I'm coming back eventually. I'm coming back. So it's nobody's fault but mine. And so this man is now mad at everybody who voted for Trump because his life was already difficult. I'm pretty sure the choices that you made long before Trump came around. Beasley says, I voted for this 3 times. Okay. I know I could only laugh at it. Let's see. But Hermana Shemeka, poor minorities and whites do have a choice. Like you've said in similar words in the past, you can stay where you at or work yourself out of it. Absolutely. That's the choice. You wake up every morning with a choice and a chance. 2 C's, a choice and a chance. If you're alive, if when you open your eyes, you're here, you're still in the land of the living, you have a choice and a chance. And whatever you didn't get to do or you didn't do the day before, you have a choice and a chance to do that the next day. We do have a choice. We can stop pointing the finger. We can stop pointing the finger. Let's go to the next video because I had to stop. The videos were so crazy. I had to stop playing them.
And the problem is we are not.
Let's see. Ba-da-da-da-da. Make myself small. Y'all have to listen very closely to this one. This is crazy.
Catholic pro-life ministries bombed. We are not dealing with America's original sin and its disease of hate and racism towards black and brown people and sexism towards women and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. We are not dealing with that. Your colleagues in the Republican Party do not hold each other accountable when it comes to the racism that comes from the party on a consistent basis.
Congressman, I mean, where are you on?
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease.
I'm white. I can't comment.
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If
I gotta go back because you might have missed it. I have to go back.
The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country. But unfortunately, we're still here.
This man actually said the reason why he is fat, number one, because we can see him busting out of the suit and it's not muscle. The reason why he is fat, the reason why black people have heart disease, cancer, obesity, and diabetes is from being called the N-word. Did you all catch that? It's from being called the N-word. There is a complete lack of accountability here. This is victimhood at its best. This is really me wanting to scream into the mic, stop playing victim. Stop playing victim. I need to know, is he overweight because he listens to too much rap music? Because the N-word it's laced in rap music. Rap music is laced with the N-word. So I need Jamal Bowman to tell me why he's busting out of that suit. Is it because he's been listening to too much rap? He's been around too many of his friends that just spew the N-word all day, every day. Where is the accountability? Obesity is the leading cause of heart disease, which is the leading cause of death in women. And I think we talked about a month or so ago that Black women are affected 67% greater than white women. That's based on your own lifestyle choices. It's not from being called the N-word. As someone who listened to a lot of rap music coming up, Ghetto Boys was my favorite rap group. I can't even name the amount of times I heard the N-word. And My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me, Chucky, another N-word in the morgue, the other level. I mean, laced. And I managed to not get fat and out of shape. So therefore, I managed to keep down the risk of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. I managed to do that while hearing the N-word because I realized I wake up every day with a choice and a chance, and I know how to put the fork down. I know how to push away from the table. Jamal Bowman, stop playing the victim. And we wonder why we have so many kids walking around in $300 pair of shoes, True Religion jeans, scrolling the most updated iPhone, whining about being a victim. It's because of the adults that they listen to or that's mentoring them or being some type of influence over their lives. The same way I had to take accountability for what my children were learning and how they viewed the world, this is happening in homes across America. That there's no accountability. They are being taught to play the victim. They are being taught to beg and not see that they have the power to achieve anything they put their minds to. Again, this isn't even about color. This is about a victim mentality, and you can have it as a result from the man that didn't want nobody to talk to him. That, as we saw, it's not about color. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And it's running rampant in America for people to not want to take accountability. And it's completely annoying. We actually experience victimhood, and society rewards victimhood through politics, media, and culture. If you're a victim, especially if you're a victim and you portray that victimhood mentality with melanin closer to mine, you are rewarded. Everybody loves you. Everybody will platform you. They will give you money to come and tell other people how much of a victim they are. You think people saying you can make it, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get ridiculed, just because? No, it's because we don't subscribe to the victimhood mentality. So much so that you have people, as we discussed yesterday, who know you have the ability to do better, but they like to pretend like you don't so that they can be in the in crowd and get invited to the cookout. Well, I don't want to pretend like, somebody needs to take accountability. So I'm just going to pretend like we're always victims. On the left or the right, we're victims, and that way, people will like me. Victimhood mentality is rewarded. That's why you see these people holding these jobs. CNN, MSNBC, The View. Victimhood mentality is rewarded. You have people like Nicole Hannah-Jones that will get $30,000, $15,000 to go speak somewhere to tell people they're a victim. Victimhood mentality is rewarded. And it makes people feel safe. Makes people feel like they have friends. People will like them. People, again, will invite them to the cookout. But it keeps you powerless. You're powerless. If you put your life in somebody else's hands, you're powerless. That's why we play grievance politics. And there is endless systemic blame, endless. We could go on and on and on. And I always, when people say something is systemic, I always ask, well, what are the solutions? Because I keep hearing you all say it's systemic, but you won't point to what the problem is specifically so that we can come up with specific solutions. And they feel like if they just say, oh, it's systemic, that's the answer. That's the problem, the answer, and the solution all in one word. And if you say, break it down so we can actually get to a solution, then you're the bad guy. I'm not trying to dispute what your thoughts are. If you feel like that it's a systemic issue, I'm trying to say, what are the specific things that you feel like are systemic, and what are the solutions? Let's come to a solution to change that. But people just like to play grievance politics. I'm going to just constantly be grieved. I'm going to just constantly be mad and feel oppressed and never try to get to a solution. I'm going to just keep pointing the finger and playing the victim. But we can see that the cost of playing victims is tearing up our families and communities. We have lost opportunities in business, education, and leadership. And we are constantly asking others to fix the problem instead of taking action. Everybody wakes up each morning with a choice and a chance. A choice and a chance. This is one of my favorite videos right here. Let me make this bigger. This is one of my favorites. I heard this and I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Is that if you go back before,
could not believe what I was hearing. Here we go. Listen to the marvelous. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So listen to the marvelous Joy Reid.
is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes.
Right.
That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things. Is that if you go back before.
I want to play it again just because she's saying all good things, but she's saying it from a place of victimhood and trying to paint it as negativity so that people can remain victims. Anybody else hear the marvelous Joy Reid and her foolishness?
Is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes.
Right.
That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things. Is that if you go back before the
just always a victim. Always a victim. Always offended, never ashamed. Woman, what are you saying? You mean to tell me we could not pay taxes? I could start a business, keep my money, and pass it to my children? But because I have to play victim, I have to act as if that's a horrible thing. Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. And this is what we constantly see from people all the time. I see it so much in life. I just get so frustrated. And y'all know that we went through the whole series of the war on words. And we said the battle starts with the language, because when the words change, the truth dies. I have somebody that they owe me money for some work that I did. Well, they tried to send it today in a way that incurred some fees. And so what I was owed, I wasn't paid because of the fees. And I said, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. These fees are on you, not me. I need my full pay because the work is done. The work is done. The person told me, well, I sent it this way. There was, listen, no accountability for it being late. That's my first problem. Then no accountability for it being late and you trying to rush to send me that you used the payment method that took a fee. No accountability. Then tried to put it on me. Well, I used this method because you've been wanting your money. No, I was owed. Let's be accountable. I was owed the money. So it's not that I've just been wanting it. I was owed the money. Let's get the payment right. Let's take accountability. Let's stop playing the victim. You're not a victim here. I was owed. You messed up. You will fix it. Point blank, period. But we've gotten so used to people playing the victim that we then feel like we're the bad guy if we hold them accountable. How many times, men, how many times will you address something that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your woman did wrong? Not only will she not apologize, she will cry for the lie. How many times? And then you find yourself apologizing because you brought it up and now she's crying for the lie. And you now feel like the bad person for trying to hold her accountable for something that's clearly wrong. Not a situation where it could be me, it could be her. I'm talking about when she clearly was wrong. That's what we've done to society. We have gotten like people get so upset and want to play the victim so much that when you hold them accountable, they are upset and mad, and now you feel like the bad person. That's kind of where we are now in society. But where I am is I understand there's power in ownership. There's power in ownership. So I'm going to love people enough to make them take ownership when it's clear that their choices are why they are in the place that they're in. Love them enough to tell them the truth. Love them enough to convince them or push them towards taking ownership. You wake up each day with 2 C's, a choice and a chance. No more excuses. We all need to refuse excuses. We need to take ownership of our families and our communities and build strong foundations. I was told very early on, the girls, my daughters, will look at me as the first example for what a woman is. And I was telling y'all earlier, and I don't think I finished, but I talked about that yesterday on Fearless with Jason Whitlock, and somebody in the comments said, well, where's their father? Because I talked about what I was teaching them. I was being accountable for what I was teaching them. Somebody said, well, where was their father? You talked about what you taught them. What was he teaching them? They got upset because I was taking ownership for the mindset that I had that I knew would rub off on my children. There was no reason for me to bring him in that conversation for that example, because I was talking about what I did to my children, the mindset that I had, and the mindset that I knew I needed to change in order to be a better example for them. Just like I said, I wrote an entire book taking accountability for things that I could have done differently in every area. Look at the chapters in every area. Because unless you take ownership, you really are giving someone else the power over your life. So like I said, there are things that I can laugh at today I didn't necessarily laugh at years ago. But I had to take ownership of my own, the things that I know I was doing. And people are so used to people pointing the finger and not taking ownership that when I did, the person was mad. They were upset that I was taking ownership. Hey, Earl Greta Bay, thank you for being here. Hi, Sub-Zero. Hi, Rita. Thank you for being here, Rita lady. She says the ones whining don't want solutions. Look at how they treat King Randall. Absolutely. Here, for those of you who may not be familiar, King Randall is a young man. I think he's around 25, 26. He started a school for boys in Georgia. I can't think of what part right at this moment, but he started a school for boys. It's called the X School of Boys. It's a boarding school. Young man decided, I am going to be a solution. I know where we are. I see what's happening in the community. I'm going to be a solution. Not only does he teach them on an educational level, you can see videos of him teaching them how to change oil, how I've seen them, I don't know, pluck a chicken and like cook a chicken from scratch. I mean, we're constantly seeing him teach them things. And the hate that he gets is unbelievable. Roland Martin, a grown man who doesn't even take accountability for the way he has to squeeze into his clothes or the muumuus that he just decides to wear, actually had him on his show only to ridicule him. So Rita Lade is absolutely right. They whine, but they don't want solutions. Hi, Thomas. Did I speak to you already? I can't remember. Ghetto Boys did the hot box beatbox and kind of annoying, really. I don't remember Ghetto Boys beatboxing, Thomas. Do you have them mixed up? I don't remember them beatboxing. Now the Fat Boys, they actually did beatbox. I don't remember the Ghetto Boys beatboxing. But maybe I missed it. Miguel says that's the same mentality of my kid is the smartest or the best athlete and gonna grow up and be rich and famous. I told my kids there's nothing wrong with being a good worker for a company. Absolutely. And that was one of my issues. Like, okay, you work for this company. You got to be a good representation for it. You just can't be out here working for somebody and making them look crazy because you don't want to be accountable. Taking power of ownership means that you take ownership of the future. You're creating solutions instead of waiting for handouts. Create solutions. Instead of me sitting around saying, I'm going to bring my show back one day. It's going to be, soon. And I'm sitting waiting for someone to say, oh, I see something in her. I think she could do her own show. Let me sponsor. Let me help. Let me, I just had to do it. And you all heard me on Monday say to the founder of Black Guns Matter, I wanted to have you on. I wasn't sure how big I had to be before you would come on, but I was willing to prove myself. I'm willing to do the hard work. I'm not interested. And mind you, I understand. If I was getting up here giving lessons on how to make somebody's booty cheeks clap, I have a lot of viewers. If I was just talking about Cardi B and who she was pregnant by this time, people love that. But because a lot of my commentary, I talk about how there is a crack in the foundation of America, and that crack to me is the crack in families. And I know that families are made up of people. I don't want to just get up here and sit and talk about the hot gossip. I could, and it would be very easy for me. I'm choking myself with this. I could, and it would be very easy for me. but I actually want to give solutions. Things that we can actually do to become better, stronger people. Better individuals to come together to make better families, to be fruitful and multiply, make better kids, producing better communities. Each one teach one. And I could not sit around and wait for somebody to say, oh, that's a good idea. I think you should do that. Let me help you. It's just me doing my little part, however little it is, right? Just me doing my part. Thank you, Rita lady, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Super sticker, I really appreciate it. Earl Grey Bay says, yes, that is the core issue. Yeah, we got to get to the root. And I want to be a solution. I could talk about the problems all day. But I want to also be a solution. My daughter said to me, and I feel like my daughter and some others, because I had somebody say, hey, you should do something where you are teaching young girls, young ladies, how to be women. Like, you need to give some of the knowledge that you have gathered over the years, give that back. And I promise you, they said that over 2 years ago, and it still took me some time to just say, I'm waking up with a choice and a chance, and let me do something. And my daughter said to me, Mom, I hope that I'm as good of a mom as you are. How did you do it? Because I think we turned out pretty good. How did y'all do it? So that's all I want to do. Maybe in another life, I can teach y'all how to make your butt cheeks clap together. Y'all know I love to joke, okay? So Sharisa Jones, you are definitely the solution. You have helped me raise my children. That's my best friend, y'all. I pay her to say that type of stuff. I'm just playing. Yes. Earl Grey Bay says, thank you for doing your part. It is much appreciated. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. We have to reach the youth because they are, you taught me that too, butt cheeks. We have to reach the youth because they are the next generation. And if it takes 15 years, I think that's the saying, it takes 15 years to demoralize a generation, then we have to reverse course. We have to reverse course and give them something else. The same way I reversed course when it came to my children and wanting to make sure they didn't grow up with a victim mentality, we have to reverse course. Because I don't know about y'all, I am sick of hearing people blame somebody else for their shortcomings. Because even if you were raised a certain way at some age, at a certain point in time, you have to take responsibility. You cannot be 50 years old talking about, I'm this way because my mama. I'm this way because my daddy. I'm this way because my teacher said A, B, C, D. Do you know I had a teacher who, when I would get up to present, and I'm pretty sure I made A's in the class because, as you all can see, I like to talk. But when I would get up to present, she would say, oh, God, I hate to hear you talk. You so monotone. And now People love to hear me talk. You have to get to a certain point where you can't keep saying somebody else stopped me. Somebody else kept me from achieving. Somebody else put their foot on my neck. Some of you're such good contortionists when it comes to dodging accountability. The foot on your neck is yours. You just all twisted up with your very own foot on your own neck because you want to keep playing the victim. And you don't realize that you need to stop begging and put the work in. So I appreciate everybody being here because today we pulled the mask off victimhood. It's not strength. It's not empowerment. It's a trap. One that keeps people weak, bitter, and begging for someone else to fix their problems. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay there. The moment you decide to own your choices, own your community, and own your future, you step out of victimhood and into empowerment. And empowered people don't ask permission. They live freely. Tomorrow, we're going to go just a bit deeper. We're going to talk about how the left feeds this cycle by keeping people dependent, but how we're going to come out as victors, not victims, victors. And I want to remind you all that I will not be here Friday because I think for about 3 weeks, I said we're only going to do the show Monday through Thursday, and then maybe I'll do it Friday, maybe I won't. It depends on if we have a special situation. And so I kept doing Fridays because it was better for people's schedule if they wanted to join the show, or we all know we lost Charlie Kirk, and so I added a show that week. But we won't be here Friday. Tomorrow is going to be the wrap up of Empowered People Don't Ask Permission, this series. We're going to wrap this right on up. And let me tell y'all, next week, our very own Earl Grey the Bay has planned next week's shows. Not only has she planned them, and now I'm putting her on the spot. Not only has she planned them, she's going to be on the show. I'm still waiting on her to choose which day, and she's dragging her feet. So I'm calling her out because the life coach in me won't let her quit or sit quiet. Earl Grey the Bay, waiting on you to tell me which day next week you're going to co-host, okay? All right, y'all. I will see you all tomorrow. Same place, same time. Because empowered people don't ask permission. Head shakers. Join me tomorrow to see what else makes me shake my head. I'll be here. You be here as well.